Welcome to the Hardwood Hustle. Sam and I here, and today, coaches, we're just going to have a simple coach talk. You know, Sam and I have these talks all the time, and sometimes we bring them to air, and we thought, well, this would be a good one to bring to air because a lot of coaches probably think about this or question themselves, and they want to be better as a coach. But we're going to talk about the things that you don't do enough of in player development. Now, this is going to take a little bit of a different direction. A lot of times we'll talk about the skills that you need to work on to develop players, what's important in developing a player. We talk a lot about player development, but one of the things is kind of like the secret sauce, the things that maybe, everybody's doing ball handling, everybody's doing shooting, everybody's doing passing. And for you to think that your players are getting better than the players in another gym, are you confident in that? Like, are you sure that your players are getting better? And what are some ways that you can ensure that they are getting better and that your workouts are leading to progress every single time? And not just talk about it, but like how you actually do this. So, Sam, one of the things that I think is just, when we talk about all the time, like playing hard is a skill. Like you can control that. You can control that your players play harder than the other team. And are you doing everything in your power? Is it a part of what you teach? And then we'll talk a little bit about how you do it. But Sam, what are your thoughts on that?
First thing that comes to mind for me is there's a famous quote on social media or YouTube with Gino RM and TJ, and he's like got his team in a huddle, and it's from several years ago or a few years ago, and it says, we don't coach effort here, guys. We don't coach you on effort. And his point is like, you better play hard. We just coach you in basketball. And I actually would, and I think some other really good coaches say this, but I actually think that's not true. I think the great coaches do coach effort. I think they get their teams to play really hard. I think Greg Popovich's teams played hard. I think Eric Spoelstra's team in the NBA play hard. I think, Missoula at Boston Celtics, they play and there's a reason they're at the top of the standings. I think Coach K at Duke, I think his teams played harder than any college basketball team for a long time in college basketball. When I would watch other teams play, Duke's team played harder. When I go watch high school teams, like when I watch our BCB travel ball teams, like I want us to play harder. And if we're not playing harder, I'm not going to coach a lot of other things until we get that right. So I hope I'm answering your question, like core value, a core principle, a core ingredient of our program or my team that I coach would be that we do out effort you at all times. How we warm up, how we hustle to timeouts, and not like just because like that looks good. No, that matters. It's a habit of hustle. It's a habit of effort. How we play defense, how we sprint the floor. I think that's a core ingredient of any championship team in almost any sport. I guess maybe golf. I guess golf, you don't have to be like some great effort, or curling in Olympics or something, but most sports, it's effort based.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think UConn women play hard. He might not have to coach effort as much as everybody else because he's getting some highly focused, highly determined young people. Like a lot of coaches have these types of problems. Well, my best player doesn't play hard. Well, your best player is not maybe challenged every single day, so they don't feel like they need to play hard. So what are you going to do to get them to play hard? The competition level's not high, so you don't have fully committed athletes and everybody on your team. Some of them are playing 3 sports, and some of them it's a hobby. Like there's a lot of things that go in there that are really difficult that don't just inherently bring high effort players. But back to your point, Sam, I mean, almost every coach, like when we lose a game or we're down, like they're almost never happy with the effort. And I think the ultimate goal as a coach is like, if we win or if we lose, I'm happy with our effort. That's how you're trying to judge your standard. Like, are we giving that? If you want something that important to go away, it's got to be something that you focus on every single day. But a player, like we're trying to get them to play hard for 40 minutes. In high school, you're trying to get them to play hard for 32 minutes. And so if you start going and asking them to play hard for 2.5 hours, unequivocally, like they're going to learn to pace themselves. And so I think, there's a time to work on your skills and slow down and whatever. But then I think there's a time to know now we're competing and the standard is 100%. So if it's like, look, we're working on skills for 10 to 12 minutes, go hard, build great habits, do all that kind of stuff. Now we're competing. I need everybody at 110 level. and we're going to go for 5 minutes, and then maybe skills again, and then we're going to go again. And there's different days call for different paces. But I think understanding that there is no pacing yourself is a hard thing for people to understand.
So, TJ, I think it starts with this, like helping players learn what great effort is. And they don't know what great effort is on their own. They don't. Like, human nature is to relax. Human nature is, I won the last drill, let me relax. I won the last game, let me relax. I'm up at halftime, we're good. All humans do this. I think coaches have to teach and train players to fight against human nature if your one of your goals is to be the hardest playing or highest effort teams.
Yeah, and so I got one more thought on this was the way coaches can break it down, and then we'll move on to the second one. When we start out in the preseason, for the first couple of weeks, we try and play games for a minute and a half because you got to see the big picture to get back to the small one. So the big picture to me is this: if our team can play really hard for 10 segments of 4 minutes, we can compete the whole game at a really high level. And so we start off trying to go really hard for a minute and a half for like maybe 4 or 5 games. And when I feel like we're doing that, then we move it to like 2 minutes of playing hard for 4 or 5 games, and then 2 minutes of playing hard for 6 to 7 games, and then maybe 2:15 playing hard for 5 games. What we're trying to build up for is 4 segments, 4 minute segments, 10 times as hard as we can go. But we're not going to come in the gym and be like, all right, guys, we got to build our conditioning. Let's scrimmage for 40 minutes. And then everyone's like, yeah. What happens is very quickly they stop running back on defense. They're tired. They're not sitting in a stance. They stop talking. They do. But like, so I think as a coach, you need to define, what does 4 minutes of hard basketball look like to you? It means they're in their stance the entire time. It means they're communicating the entire time. It means they sprint hard on transition defense every time. It means they go after offensive rebounds every time. So what happens is, if you just go really fast, well, they buy breaks. And so, and you don't even recognize it as a coach. Well, so and so, they don't go to the offensive glass anymore because they're tired. And you don't even recognize that, but it's happening. Oh, they stopped talking. Oh, they're not sprinting back on defense every time. They're not running the floor on offense every time. Like, what does 4 minutes of great effort look like to you? They sprint every lane as hard as they can in offensive transition. They always sprint back on defense. They stay in a defensive stance. They cut hard. They go after offensive rebounds. They communicate. I mean, if you were to pick like 7 things you want done well, can they do those with great effort for 4 minutes? That's a great way to just put your team in and be like,
I'll go ahead and answer about it. The answer to that question is no, they can't.
yeah, no, they can't. Because in reality, that's a super hard thing to do. It's not a hard thing to go to scrimmage for 40 minutes. I mean, these guys play pickup all the time, and like they might play for 3 hours, but
Yeah.
not at the level of a championship team. But if you were to go for 4 minutes and you were to sprint on transition and offense, go after every offensive rebound, try and box out every time, sit in your stance, communicate for 4 minutes, like that is extremely, extremely hard. So the point being, we just skip too many steps. We just skip too many steps to get them there.
Well, I like what you said there because we've done that. You actually introduced a little bit of that idea to us last year, and we did that in practice, TJ. So for coaches listening, pick 2 or 3 things on defense or offense and say, can we stay in a stance on defense and can we talk for an entire possession, and can we do that for 3 straight possessions? You'll be amazed. It took us like 30 minutes, and we demand a lot, I think, but it took us like 30 minutes to get a perfect possession where they did those 2 things on defense, TJ, and then we said you have to sprint the floor in transition and you have to cut as hard as you can on your cuts to the rim. And it takes a lot to get all 5 guys. You might have 3 guys, you might have 4 girls. To get all 5 doing it is extremely hard. And when you can, it shows players that they have more in the tank, that there's actually more they can do.
All right, the second one I want to talk about, and we've talked about all of these before in roundabout ways. We're just getting a little more specific. But the second one we're going to talk about is like IQ and like really thinking the game. Some people say feel for the game. Some people say think the game. We focused on this at PGC in our summer camps for decades, right? Like we just think that's an undertaught part of the game where players don't think the game. Players aren't really understanding. But if you can unlock a player's thinking ability, problem solving ability, like ability to figure things out, like honestly, those players are the hardest players to take off the court. I think about this like Graham. A lot of our listeners probably know Graham because he's been on a few episodes. He's my longtime assistant coach. But Graham played for me, and I really didn't know if he could be a college basketball player because just he was a little slow. There's a whole bunch of things. Over time, like we just really worked on it, and Graham did two things that were almost impossible to take him off the court because he did these two things well. The first thing is that he understood angles. So he wasn't a quick defender, but he started understanding how to take better angles, and quicker players couldn't get by him. And that it changed everything because he was a good shooter, a good passer. Like he was good on the offensive end. The defensive end, I just didn't know if he could make. He understood angles, and because he did that, he almost never got beat off the dribble, and I couldn't take him off the floor. The second thing that he did is he figured out how to fix problems. So, for instance, I don't know if I've ever had a player better when it was 2-on-1, the other team, and this could be in a half court setting or a full court setting. They were 2-on-1. Like I'm betting on Graham. Like he would solve it. Like he would jab, fake, get back, recover, or a guy would get out of position in the half court and he would pick up and solve the problem for him. He thought the game, just in those two scenarios, he thought the game well in a lot of other scenarios, but just in angles on defending the ball and how to fix bad 2-on-1 situations. And by the end of it, because he did those two things so well, I felt like he saved us 10 points a game on defense, and I couldn't take him off the court. But those were simple IQ things. We could talk a lot of offensive ones, whatever. But those are two IQ things defensively that made a world of difference for his career and for our team.
But I do think this is where the coaching happens, and I think this is actually an important point here. Games approach, or as some people now like to call it, CLA, constraints led approach, right? The same thing. They think that you just create the game and you let the game be the teacher. Yes, that is true. Let the game be the teacher. But you as a coach will also need to insert yourself into giving more context so the players can grow. They will not organically or naturally pick up on the things you want them to pick up on just because you create a great game. So another game we've been playing recently with our high school guys, TJ, because we are trying to grow their IQ, and we found some frustrations with poor shot selection in games, even though we talk a lot about it. So we play a game to 40 points, 2s and 3s. But here's the deal: a Wolu, WOLU, which is a wide open layup, gets you 9 points if you shoot it. If you make it, we give you a two more, so you make an 11-pointer. A Utah, to borrow from our friend Rick Torbett, an uncontested 3-point attempt, that's worth 7 points. Just shooting that shot. You don't even have to make it. If you make the 3, we give you 3 more, so it's a 10-pointer. So we played to 40 points. First time we did this a couple weeks ago, you're going to guess what happened. What happened?
It probably took 2 hours to complete the game.
No, but it took a long time, and guys weren't getting those shots. So guess what? We had to stop them, teach them, celebrate. Like it involved. So now we're playing it more. And now we see them actually talking the game. And you know what else shows up in this? Who your leaders are, who the real competitors are. The players on the team who they're like coming down on offense and they're like saying it before it happens, like, or they're getting guys to screen for each other. So you actually see who's going to step up and lead. And I love those type of games because it actually produces really good growth instead of just playing a 5-on-5 game. To our point here, it's like, oh, first team to 9 points wins. No, now we got to think the game a little bit. And I really enjoy those practices even more.
Yeah, really good. And we could honestly, we could go on about these first two forever. Like effort is a skill and should be trained more in practice. IQ, thinking the game is a skill and should be trained more in practice. These are the undertrained things that will actually be a great investment of your time that you'll see a lot of reward from. So the third one and the final one we'll talk about real quick. Um, and this one is more of a actual physical skill, but I think it's really important is that your team needs to be better at passing the basketball. And this is something that it doesn't get worked on enough. And I'll be honest with you, this is I feel like the effort one and the IQ one, like we're really good at. I feel like we do a good job, better than most people do at that. The passing one, I'm not sure that I've unlocked it completely where I feel super confident that we're better than other people at doing this. And here's what I mean by it. Like, first of all, like just what passes does your team throw the most, and are they good at them, right? And like what where do they like for like example would be, when I coached my daughter's team when they were younger, like seventh grade, eighth grade, like we were running read and react. We were cutting hard. The defense was messing up, and we were wide open for layups, but we couldn't make the pass there, right? And so like we had all the right X's and O's going on, but we didn't actually have this skill. Same thing, like teams lose games because they don't inbound the ball well. Maybe they don't lose, but maybe they don't gain an advantage because they don't inbound the ball well, right? People miss shots because the ball isn't delivered on time on target. And I could go over numerous situations where it's like you might have a great post player, but nobody can feed them. You might have advantage situations 3-on-2, 2-on-1 in the regular because your transition's really good, but you turn the ball over because you can't throw the right pass. Like there's so many of those situations. But one of the difficult things about that is like recreating it sometimes, like when you go out there and you're like, okay, let's do chest passes, let's go bounce. It doesn't translate, right? Like, and so there you has to be some level of competitiveness to your passing drills. You've got to be intentional about it. You've got to there's a lot that goes on. And this is an area that I would like to get better because I think we're solid, but not great. And I want to get great at being a great passing team. But this skill, I think, is one that's under taught as well that can actually produce a lot of great fruit for your team.
Say, TJ, you went into your gym today and did a workout with five of your players, and you go stand. For those watching, you're standing in the right corner at the basket. Put your five or four players on the left wing. Have them drive to the block, take a little escape dribble baseline, and throw you a left-handed pass. And you stand in the corner with your hands ready. How many of your five players, just five of your top 10, pick any random, would hit you right in the hands, do you think?
Yeah, maybe one or two, and I know exactly what you're. We got a kid that's playing in the NBA, KJ, and like he was one of those guys that could throw it with his left or right hand to any place on the floor. And people always say
Yeah.
he's a great scorer or great whatever, but that's the skill that I was in awe of all the time is the ability to throw right and left and put it on a dime. But right now, maybe one or two guys might be able to do that on our team.
So it's a powerful visual though. If you do that and you stand there, and when they pass the ball, don't move, and it'll like whiz past you on your head. They'll hit your feet. They'll hit the wall behind you, right? And you just stand there, have like five of them drive. And first off, they'll get their attention like, oh, I'm not that good of a passer with my weak hand. Then put them on the right wing, see how many can do it with their dominant hand. And it's just a good kind of attention grabber because ultimately, if you're going to be a good passer, you got to hit the three T's. You got to have these three T's. You got to be able to throw a pass on time, on target, with the right touch. Very few players can do that with both hands. So if you're a coach, take yourself out of drills as a passer in your practices. Get your players to be passers and do it like we do like 3 or 4 shooting drills every practice, and we challenge our kids to make all those passes with their weak hand. Like, so they're going to get 100 passes with their weak hand throughout our practice, just in like drill work. So I think there's different things like that you can do to bring out better passing.
Yeah. So we went kind of long on this episode, but I feel like we barely even scratched the surface of like these different things. But there's three things, coaches, that would be really solid for you to spend more time on in practice. Are you developing their effort. I mean, ask yourself, am I developing their effort every day? And not just like, did I get them to go hard today, but am I actually developing a habit where every time we hit the court, we're learning how to play harder? When we go out there, are we getting smarter as a team every single day? And are we becoming a better passing team? If you went to practice and at the end of every practice, you could check the box, we're learning how to play harder. We are getting smarter. We are more effective passing the ball. By the end of the season, if you check that box every day, you would be super happy with your basketball team. I'm telling you. And those are not a lot of things that we're thinking about. We're thinking about running our offense better. We're thinking about playing better defense. We're thinking about shooting the ball better, like all important things too. Don't get me wrong. But these are some major buckets that we're not thinking enough about. So coaches, you want to pause for a second and think, how can I do this? Build a game plan around those three things, and you'll be super excited you did. So coaches, really enjoy you listening. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being a part of our Hardwood Hustle family. If you're looking for some free resources, check us out at pgchustle.com. Also, look, you want to get better at effort and IQ and passing the basketball, have your players come to our summer sessions at PGC basketball. It touches on all three of these things on the regular, and you'll be happy with their improvement as they come back to you, a smarter player with a higher IQ that plays harder, and they do the little things, better. So any one of those resources, any one of those opportunities that you want to take a look at, please do pgcbasketball.com or PGC Hustle for the coaches specifically. He is Sam. I am TJ. We are the Hardwood Hustle.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Coaches, if you're looking for some in-season support or a more direct approach to your development in all facets of coaching, join our PGC coaching community. You can sign up for a free trial today by going to pgchustle.com/trial. That's pgchustle.com/trial. From the Hardwood Hustle team, thanks again. We can't wait to be with you again next week.